So we're going to talk about those differences, then we're going to have a look at them, pour them out, and we're going to do a taste test to see the difference. What is going on, vegan food explorers? I am your vegan food explorer and I am back. I've just been on holiday in France. It's the first time we've been abroad since COVID time, so it's been absolutely epic to get away. Also, I've got loads of content I actually shot there because being a vegan in France is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And also being up in the mountains where we were made it even more difficult. But we are back hitting the ground running with an epic video on plant milks. And I wanted to talk about the two plant milks I think, in my opinion, are the most popular, and they're the most I see with my friends, my family, and people in public, in coffee shops and restaurants choosing. They are soy milk and oat milk. I chose these brands because I think they're the biggest, they're the most prominent brands that I see of the two sorts. Alpro with the soy milk, and then of course, who else but Oatly for the oat milk. It's in the name. So we're going to talk about the differences because from recent chatting to friends and family, they didn't really know much differences apart from the obvious, which we'll get into. So we're going to talk about those differences, then we're going to have a look at them, pour them out, and we're going to do a taste test to see the difference. So, kicking it off, price-wise, Alpro, £1.25, and then Oatly, £1.60. So I was actually really interested and shocked actually by the difference in price. I know Oatly is maybe potentially a more premium brand than Alpro, but not that much, I don't think. And I would say that if you actually, I did some Googling and looking around, even if you go in the own brand and some of the other brands, oat milk is more expensive on the whole, not always, but mostly, and in a lot of cases it is more expensive. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm not really sure why. Must be a reason out there. So next, ingredients. I think we all know one of the differences is going to be that this has soybeans in and this has oats in. Obvious. But if we delve a bit deeper into the oat milk, it has an oat based, but then it has rapeseed oil, then it has two sorts of calcium, salt, vitamins, potassium, iodide. So that's another addition so that you can have iodine in the milk, like cow's milk. And so I thought that was really interesting because there's no added sugar, nothing like that. And I assume that's because there's sugar in the oats, because oats are source of carbohydrates. So I assume that's where the sugar comes from, and you don't need to add any. Because if you then compare it to the soya milk has soy base, which is water and soybeans, and then it has apple extract, which is just to sweeten it up a bit. It has some acidity regulators, calcium again, so it has the added calcium, sea salt, stabilizer, potassium iodide, and then vitamins included. Which I thought was quite interesting, quite subtle differences. And you need, I guess, for a sweetened version, this has apple extract, just to make it a bit sweeter. I thought that was quite interesting that this didn't. Very interesting. So then we get on to the nutrition, and this for me, after the flavour, is the biggest difference. So per 100 millilitres for oat milk, you have 1.5 grams of fat, 6.7 grams of carbohydrates, and then 1 gram of protein. So very low protein on there, higher carbohydrate, and then very low fat. Then soy milk. Soy milk has 1.9 grams of fat, which is quite similar to the oat milk. It has 2.7 grams of carbohydrate, so much less. But then it has 3.3 grams of protein. These are all per 100 millilitres. So that is almost very, very similar to cow's milk. And that is the reason I use this for my cereal, because I drink about 400 millilitres in my cereal and I want to make sure I'm getting the most protein. So I'm getting over 12 grams of protein having that in my cereal, whereas if I had oat milk, I wouldn't. So those are the ingredients and the nutritional differences, which I think is very, very interesting. The vitamins, I don't think they really count because they probably differ between brands, whatever you put in. It's not really related to the soy or the oat milk. Right, so that's the ingredients and the nutrition. Let's get on to the taste and look test. Okay, so I've just shaken them up and taken the lids off. And now we're going to pour them, see the difference in texture and colours, but then we're going to do that infamous taste test. So let's start with the oat milk. Pour that in. Yeah, really nice. Quite thick actually, thicker than I thought. Really sticks to the sides, you can see that. Okay, let's go with the soy milk. Trying to pour and film is a little bit more tricky than I thought. I've got to say, that looks identical to cow's milk. Very, very interesting there. Okay, so let's have a look at the two. Let's put them together. So I did shake both of them, and I would say I shook them very evenly, but a lot more froth with the soy milk there, which is quite interesting. Colour-wise, I hope you can see that on the camera. I'd say this is much darker than this. I know I've got a difference in light maybe here, but it is a different colour. It really is. This, I think the soy milk, if you poured this, you could definitely say that was dairy milk. It's got the like little bit of foam, very white, very pure, moves around really quickly. It does stick to the side a little bit. But then if you go to the oat milk, I think that's much darker. Does stick to the side. Look at that. That is super, super creamy there. Very, very different, I would say. Look, already it's come down the side here where it's still on the oat milk there. That's really interesting, actually. I'd say they're very different. Okay, that's the texture. Now let's do the taste test. We're going to start with the oat milk. Smell-wise, doesn't smell of anything. I'm going to be honest. Doesn't smell much. Maybe slightly earthy, but not really. Just smells very fresh in there. Okay, let's go for a taste. Oh. It's just so creamy. I haven't had oat milk in a while just on its own. Super creamy, thick, kind of flows over your tongue. That is so good. It really does have that, I mean, it's so obvious, but oaty flavour. It really tastes like when you have, say, porridge made with oats. It's that creaminess, really sweet, subtle, sweet, oaty flavour there. That is really, really nice. It's got a flavour that hits your tongue, and then as it goes down your throat, as you swallow it, it's really delicious. It's not a strong taste, but it's quite distinctive. So really, really nice. So I drink oat milk almost exclusively in my coffee and tea. I think it mixes really well. It's very neutral, but I think it adds to that dimension. If you have a coffee, like a flat white, also it can be whisked up really nice and frothed up, so it works really, really well. I think the flavour works really well there, and I think it actually adds to the drink. It makes it really nice, whereas others like coconut milk, for example, way too overpowering, but I think this balances really nicely. Okay, so that's oat milk. Now let's move on to soy milk. I just can't get over how much that looks like dairy milk. It's crazy. Honestly, you wouldn't know. So smell already. Yeah, wow, it's got quite a strong smell. It's just distinctive. It just smells quite earthy. It's got quite a deep flavour there. Yeah, definitely it smells very different to the oat milk. So as you can see, it's not as creamy, I don't think, as the oat milk, but let's try it. Yeah, it's so different. So different. It's definitely more earthy. The flavour here is like this for the oat milk. The soy milk takes it up. It's very distinctive, and I think that's why some people don't like it, because it's not as neutral as the oat milk. I really like it. I think it's very sweet. I have the sweetened version, to be honest. I don't mind the unsweetened version, but that's a whole nother video. But that is a lot more earthy. The sweetness just takes the edge off it, and I think it's a really nice drink. I drink this either in my cereal, as I think it really helps. I find when it's in my tea or coffee, I don't think it mixes as well, and I think it can sometimes just change the taste a little bit too much. Whereas oat milk really complements it, makes it really nice for a hot beverage. So I think hopefully that helps. I find that oat milk's perfect for drinks, hot drinks, really, really nice. Also, if I'm having a milkshake, definitely make it with oat milk, because I think it whips up creamy. Even the basic versions, not even talking about the barista versions. Then soy milk, I drink solely really for the increased protein. It has so much more protein than oat milk. I think it's great. You can also get increased protein soy milks. They have more soybean in them. I really, really rate them very highly for that. So when I'm having significant amounts of milk, so in my cereal, for example, I will use soy milk for the protein. But when I want the flavor and I want the absolute best quality texture, I go with oat milk. So I hope that helps. Kind of some simple tips on the two of my favorite types of plant milk. If you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Also, let me know what other milks you'd like me to do a bit of a vegan wars against, just to really decipher the differences between the two so you can make the choices for yourself. But let me also know in the comments, are you a team oat or a team soya? I've laid out my allegiances, but let me know in the comments below. We've got absolutely tons of videos coming up, so stay subscribed, stay tuned, and of course, we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.